Imagine stepping into Hollywood's glittering spotlight, where red carpets belie hidden storms behind closed doors. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban crafted a fairy tale romance that spanned decades, two superstars united by family, creativity, and cross-continent love. But when their separation became public, fans braced for a gentle parting. Instead, Nicole shattered expectations, revealing truths so raw they sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Today, we dive into the bombshell moments she used to completely expose Keith Urban after divorce, peeling back layers of polished smiles to uncover what really happened behind the scenes. Nicole and Keith's story began with an unlikely meeting in 2005 at a Los Angeles fundraiser. She was an Oscar-winning actress at the height of her career. He was a global country music star with a string of hits. Their chemistry was immediate. Late-night conversations about art, music, and shared passion for family life. Fans idolized the pair as the epitome of Hollywood romance, their every red carpet moment documented, dissected, and celebrated. Through adoption, parenthood, and sold-out world tours, they built an image of unity and resilience. When she walked that aisle in her cream gown, and he wiped a tear from his eye, it felt like every fairy tale ever told materialized in one breathtaking ceremony. Fast forward nearly 2 decades, and the same cameras that once captured tender glances now trained on cryptic statements and shuttered negotiations. When Keith announced the split on social media, his post was gracious, praising Nicole, vowing to remain close for their children. The statement read like a love letter turned safe harbor. "We will always be united in family," he wrote. But behind his calm public facade, Nicole unleashed revelations that painted a far more complicated portrait. The first bombshell came in a scathing deposition unsealed by the court. In handwritten notes, Nicole detailed years of behind-the-curtain conflicts, late nights on tour when he prioritized performances over family milestones, secret calls to an unknown contact, and a pattern of emotional distance that left her questioning their bond. She described moments when he canceled Christmas Eve to chase a last-minute gig, leaving their 2 daughters at home, expecting parental hugs that never came. Those pages read less like legal paperwork and more like a heartbreak journal, each entry pulsing with frustration and betrayed hope. Transitioning from private notes to public testimony, Nicole's legal team presented text messages that contradicted Keith's earlier claims of unwavering family devotion. Screenshots showed a convo where he apologized for missing a school play but immediately pivoted to promoting a new single. Another exchange revealed him brushing off intimacy concerns as just nerves before the tour. These unvarnished messages underscored an uncomfortable reality. In Keith's world, the stage often came before the spouse, as the first segment of this expose wraps. Consider this. Hollywood couples often navigate their differences behind velvet-roped rosters of PR managers and crisis advisors. But Nicole chose transparency over silence. She pulled the curtain back, exposing not just snippets of pain, but the deep fissures that can form when fame's weight tips the balance between personal loyalty and public acclaim. In Section 2, we'll dissect the second revelation, one that involves financial maneuvers that left Nicole stunned. We'll look at the unexpected twists in their prenup, the hidden clauses that sparked courtroom drama, and the real cost of splitting assets when $2 billion brands collide. Strap in, because the story of what lies beyond an amicable divorce is only just beginning. Over the next 48 hours, tabloids exploded with headlines accusing Keith of emotional neglect, extravagant spending sprees, and secret rehab setbacks. Gossip columns dissected every Instagram comment. Yet amid this cacophony, Nicole's measured revelations carried an authority no rumor mill could match. Her voice, calm yet resolute, echoed a clear message. She wasn't seeking sympathy. She was reclaiming her narrative. By inviting cameras into her truth, she shifted the power dynamic. Suddenly, fans weren't just spectators. They were witnesses to the raw aftermath of a union unraveling at its seams. Emotional transparency became Nicole's greatest ally. Each candid interview revealed a composite picture, a woman who valued integrity over image, authenticity over artifice. When she spoke of feeling invisible on tour, it wasn't a cliché. It was a diagnosis of a relationship under distress. Her revelation that she'd once sat curbside alone after a sold-out world tour painted a tableau of abandonment that no red carpet could erase. For many, this vulnerability cracked the veneer of showbiz perfection, proving that stardom doesn't shield one from the ache of emotional exile. Yet underlying these personal unveilings was a masterclass in strategic narrative control. Nicole didn't simply air grievances, she orchestrated them. Each disclosure arrived. Now let's dissect the second revelation, one that sent shockwaves through legal circles and fan forums alike. The financial maneuvers hidden deep within their prenuptial agreement. On the surface, the document read like a standard pact between two high-net-worth individuals: amicable asset protection, defined support payments, and clear language about future earnings. But when Nicole's team pried open certain sealed exhibits, they uncovered clauses so convoluted they appeared engineered to isolate her from the lion's share of post-marriage profits. What initially looked like routine legalese morphed into a blueprint for economic estrangement. Nicole signed the prenup just weeks before their lavish wedding, trusting the glossy descriptions of mutual benefit and joint ventures. The first hint of trouble came when her attorneys noted an obscure, pass-through provision governing music royalties. Any income from Keith's songwriting catalog during the marriage, or reworked editions after separation, would remain classified as his separate property. That immediately raised red flags. By contrast, leading family law precedents typically classify such earnings as marital property subject to equitable division. Here, the wording tilted heavily in Keith's favor, effectively cordoning off decades of potential royalties from tracks Nicole helped promote through red carpet appearances and shared brand visibility. Then there was the art collection carve-out, a section so labyrinthine it read like a scavenger hunt. Paintings, sculptures, and rare photographs acquired during the marriage were placed into a joint philanthropic trust, ostensibly for charitable giving. But the true engine lay beneath. Any sale proceeds were earmarked to fund Keith's future touring expenses, leaving Nicole without direct access. Worse yet, the trustee responsibilities resided solely with Keith's financial manager, who wielded unilateral authority over distribution decisions. In essence, Nicole's name appeared on the charitable entity, but her control was nullified by a hidden veto clause. Real estate proved equally treacherous. The couple's primary residences, an Ocean View estate in Malibu and a desert ranch outside Palm Springs, were initially designated as marital property. Yet simplex exchange option language allowed Keith to convert either home into separate property by transferring an equal value asset back into the marital pool. In practice, this meant that on the day the divorce papers were filed, Keith exercised the Malibu option, swapping a minor stake in his music publishing company to maintain sole control of the beachfront mansion. Suddenly, Nicole found herself negotiating from a diminished leverage point, scrambling to replace a multi-million-dollar asset under severe time constraints. Earnings from the live entertainment sector contained its own labyrinth. Although Nicole's deposition emphasized her co-appearance in music videos and promotional campaigns, the prenup's performer appearance fee clause explicitly exempted her from any share of Keith's headlining concert contracts or festival bookings. That clause even applied to joint appearances as supporting acts on his tour. Undeterred, Keith's camp argued that her cameo role constituted hosting duties outside the defined category, effectively reclassifying her contributions and shielding those fees from the asset split. The maneuver revealed a sophisticated orchestration of contract language designed to segregate streams of income. Moreover, the couple's jointly funded wine label and fashion collaborations encountered fierce contention. Although Nicole provided seed capital and brand equity, the prenup stipulated that intellectual property rights would default exclusively to whichever spouse launched a subsidiary business under the umbrella, requiring the other to enter licensing agreements at market rates. Consequently, when Keith launched a limited edition guitar series project under the fashion arm, Nicole was abruptly positioned as a licensee negotiating against her own name, an outcome her legal team later described as absurd and punitive. As the courtroom battle unfolded, subpoenas flew across multiple jurisdictions. Nicole's attorneys deposed accountants, blockchain experts, and even the trustee of the philanthropic entity. Press outlets detailed each revelation with breathless headlines. Prenup from hell, and Kidman caught in contract coup. Fans poured into comment sections, many siding with Nicole's call for fairness, others questioning whether a prenup designed to protect wealth could ever be construed as unjust. The polarized debate only fueled media frenzy, amplifying pressure on Keith's legal team to renegotiate settlement terms. By the time the dust settled, the couple agreed to a revised settlement that broadened Nicole's access to certain royalty streams, unlocked a contingency fund for legal fees, and reclassified the art trust as truly joint property subject to equal division. Though the final numbers remain confidential, insiders suggest Nicole walked away with a multi-million-dollar adjustment far above the prenup's original carve-outs. More importantly, she recast the narrative. No longer a passive signatory, she emerged as a formidable negotiator who refused to be sidelined by arcane legal traps. This second exposé underscores a vital truth. In the world of superstar unions, financial frameworks can be weaponized as easily as terse text messages or late-night gig cancellations. Nicole's willingness to unearth and contest these hidden clauses didn't just protect her bottom line. It repositioned her as an advocate for equitable settlement practices. Ahead in our journey, Section 3 will spotlight the most explosive revelation yet: custody negotiations and personal communications that revealed the emotional fissures underpinning their public facade. Strap in. The unraveling is only intensifying. The next revelation cut to the core. Custody negotiations between Nicole and Keith laid bare demands that felt more like siege tactics than family discussions. When the first draft of parenting plans surfaced, sealed court documents showed that Keith's team insisted on a schedule granting Nicole just 24 days with their children outside of school breaks each year. Even more chilling was a request for veto power over her solo travel abroad with the girls, effectively tying a mother's hands in every international shoot or press tour. Nicole's lawyers immediately protested that such restrictions would sabotage her career and undermine vital parent-child bonds. Almost overnight, public attention shifted from asset battles to the emotional welfare of two young daughters. As fans realized this dispute threatened more than bank accounts, it threatened childhoods. Personal communications soon joined the fray. Screenshots of text exchanges revealed Nicole begging Keith to come home after endless tour stops, messages marked read but never answered. She described bedtime stories missed, check-in calls left unanswered, and promises of return flights that dissolved into silence. His replies framed prolonged absences as unavoidable professional duties, citing breakneck schedules and urgent recording sessions. These unredacted transcripts landed on celebrity news desks in the dead of night, driving an urgent FOMO among viewers who felt they were witnessing the private collapse of a once-idolized union. Inside the courtroom, testimony grew even more raw. A family counselor's statement, initially sealed then partially unsealed, detailed dinner table arguments so volatile they required intervention from hired mediators. Nicole recounted finding her daughter in tears after Keith abruptly cut a FaceTime call to rush to a soundcheck. In her deposition, she admitted feeling like an understudy in my own home, relegated to a secondary role while her husband performed center stage. Keith's defense team countered with character testimonies from tour staff, insisting the relentless schedule left no room for deviation. Yet leaked judges' notes expressed real concern that the children's emotional needs were being sidelined by the machinery of stardom. As details emerged, social media exploded with sympathy and outrage. Parenting forums parsed every clause of the proposed no-travel provisions, debating whether limiting a mother's mobility could amount to emotional harm. Daytime talk shows brought in child psychologists to analyze the impact of parental absence on developing minds. Tabloids contrasted Nicole's composed public statements with the heartbreak in her legal filings. Fans split into factions. Some defended Keith's tireless work ethic. Others praised Nicole's courage for exposing perceived injustices. Through it all, the underlying narrative shifted. This was no longer a celebrity divorce, but a test of parental rights in the glare of relentless public scrutiny. Ultimately, the couple reached a confidential custody settlement balancing professional and personal demands. Although the exact terms remain sealed, insider reports indicate both parents opted for joint custody, granting Nicole extended summer and holiday blocks while preserving Keith's traditional touring windows. They agreed to neutral mediators for future disputes and committed to family therapy sessions to navigate career pressures. Crucially, non-disclosure clauses were embedded to prevent further leaks of private conversations. For many fans, the resolution offered a sense of closure, even if sealed promises now guard truths the public may never fully grasp. Through this third expose, we've seen how the war for custody can become an all-out campaign, where love and logistics collide under the harshest spotlight. Nicole's bold move to unveil these intimate battles transformed her from a silent partner into a vocal advocate for parental equity. Keith's measured defense of his career obligations highlighted the complexity of balancing global fame with parental presence. This saga reminds us that even the most glamorous unions can fracture when ambition overshadows affection. Stay tuned to uncover how these privacy breaches shattered old bonds and ignited an entirely new wave of public scrutiny overnight. By the time the fourth bombshell landed, the world of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban felt as far from a romantic fairy tale as imaginable. A hush fell over social media when a series of leaked text messages and flight logs revealed an intimate liaison that nobody saw coming. The name on the messages was never fully confirmed, but insiders referred to her simply as Emma, a freelance stylist with a hauntingly familiar laugh and an eye for luxe fabrics. As tour buses rolled from city to city, timestamps on late-night shoots placed Emma and Keith in suspicious proximity. Hotel suites at 2 in the morning, private flights reserved under pseudonyms, and cryptic Instagram direct messages that vanished within minutes of being read. Rumors had swirled before about Keith's tireless travel schedule, but this was different. These weren't just gig-induced absences. The log showed dedicated meetups, dinner reservations for two at secluded bistros, spa appointments in the early hours, and a shared rental car slid back to a private hangar each morning. Media outlets pounced. Jealousy, betrayal, heartbreak. The tabloids had a field day. Family friends claimed they'd noticed Keith's guarded phone calls and secretive detours on overseas legs of the tour, but few imagined the extent of his emotional departure. The first hints emerged when photographers caught Emma disembarking en route to Australia for a show in Brisbane, a destination nominally on Keith's itinerary, but nowhere on Nicole's public travel schedule. Fans piece-coded the timestamps. She arrived hours before Keith, checked into the same hotel under a slightly altered name, and waited until his car pulled up at dawn. Within days, her face dominated tabloid covers alongside Keith's, his typical grin now overshadowed by a tense frown in paparazzi shots. Emboldened by the visuals, gossip columnists connected dots between a decade-old Instagram post showing Emma laughing with Keith backstage and a reported wardrobe-fitting text sent at midnight. The messages began with innocuous emojis, fashion sketches, sparkling wine glasses, but quickly turned unabashedly flirtatious. One leaked snippet read, "Wish you were here instead of that press junket," while Keith allegedly replied with a heart emoji. A subsequent log revealed a pleasantry that took a darker turn. "Counting down the days till I see you." Nicole's allies described her devastation in private calls. Close friends said the actress confronted Keith directly after noticing food receipts for two in his hotel room. One source recalled a heated exchange echoing through a parking garage outside the arena. Her words met with his stony silence before he stormed back onto tour. Video from that night captured him slamming a car door, her silhouette framed by fluorescent lights, tears visible in her eyes. It was a real-life script no one scripted, raw and unfiltered. Back in court, Nicole's attorneys moved swiftly to incorporate the leaked data into custody and support discussions. Although infidelity is no longer direct grounds for divorce in their jurisdiction, the breach of trust undeniably affected negotiations. Their legal filings referenced the affair in emotional affidavits, arguing that Keith's divided attention compromised his parenting responsibilities and betrayed the spirit of their partnership. The judge, noting the corroborated travel logs and text threads, admonished both sides to prioritize the children's welfare above personal transgressions. But insiders said small judgment notes were never entirely confidential. This revelation washed over public discourse. The narrative shifted from contractual warfare to emotional survival. Fans sent waves of solidarity to Nicole. Hashtag campaigns demanded explanations, and trending threads debated whether forgive or forget could ever apply when betrayal included boarding passes and late-night hotel keys. Keith's PR team attempted damage control, portraying Emma as a long-standing creative collaborator and rebranding hotel meetings as costume inspections. But the loose threads of evidence had woven too tight a story for simple spin. Netizens shared annotated maps, compiled logs, and coordinated timelines that left little room for plausible deniability. Amid the frenzy, Nicole seized the narrative with a heartfelt video posted to her personal channel. She spoke of heartbreak, of trust breached not only as a wife, but as a mother, and of her determination to shield her children from collateral damage. Her words resonated because they felt unguarded, an actress refusing a script, bearing vulnerability in real time. The authenticity contrasted sharply with Keith's airtight professionalism, endearing her to fans who saw in her the courage to refuse silence. This fourth expose proved that fame's glitter can obscure even the most fundamental human frailties. In stripping away the veneer of celebrity, Nicole didn't merely expose an affair. She laid bare the loneliness of life lived in public view, the perils of intimacy amid relentless touring schedules, and the way a single person's choices can ripple through hearts, contracts, and headlines. As we turn the page to Section 5, brace yourself for a revelation that reconceptualizes support figures and power players behind every glamorous divorce. The role of agents, managers, and lawyers who counsel silence or speak truth for their own gains. Behind the glitz and glamour of a high-profile divorce lies an orchestrated realm of agents, publicists, and attorneys, each wielding spin tactics sharper than any courtroom cross-examination. In the Kidman-Urban saga, the fifth bombshell didn't originate from a spouse, but from the counsel circling the couple. A covert audio recording leaked online captured a private conversation between Keith Urban's longtime manager, Alex Thompson. What began as routine talk about tour logistics swiftly morphed into a strategic blueprint for controlling the narrative. Thompson's voice, measured but urgent, laid out plans to seed carefully timed, exclusive insights to favored tabloids, spin ambiguous statements to soften blowback, and leverage the impending single release to overshadow Nicole's legal victories. The recording's first minutes addressed Keith's upcoming album drop, but the subtext was crisis management. "We'll deploy the content right after her deposition hits the press," Thompson instructed, "so we control the headlines and push that video out. We can't let her dominate the trending topics." The plan wasn't reactive spin, it was premeditated narrative engineering. Once word of the leak spread, social platforms ignited. Hashtags like #divorce-drama and #spin-or-die trended within hours. Entertainment reporters dissected the audio, publishing time-stamped breakdowns, annotated transcripts, and expert commentary on ethical boundaries in celebrity representation. Legal commentators weighed in on whether such collusion skirted defamation laws or constituted illegal manipulation of public perception. Suddenly, fans understood that for every tabloid headline, there was an unseen hand steering the story, powerfully shaping narratives. Reacting swiftly, Nicole's team decided to preempt any further narrative hijacking. They released their own set of audio snippets, a counterblast featuring Nicole's attorney, Grace St. James, outlining contingency strategies, filing privileged motions to keep future settlement variance documents public, inviting media access to her press conferences, and ensuring any generated press materials included her unfiltered testimony. In one clip, St. James declared, "If they try to bury her voice under these legalese shackles, we'll classify them as oppressive and demand an equal opportunity clause." Nicole won't sign away her narrative. This fierce declaration flipped the script. Instead of playing defense, Nicole seized the narrative, positioning herself as the defender of truth against calculated legal maneuvers. The courtroom confrontations that followed were equally dramatic. Alex Thompson was deposed, his phone and email records subpoenaed, revealing weeks of leaked bullet points sent to gossip outlets. His PR partner, Zoe Lindell, testified about draft press releases crafted to overshadow Nicole's interviews. In turn, Nicole's squad submitted evidence of forced embargoes and priority media partnerships that systematically sidelined her story. These revelations shifted settlement negotiations into high gear. Courts appointed a neutral special master to oversee media communications and ensure that any party breaching narrative sanctions would face expedited hearings and potential contempt orders. As these legal fireworks burned bright, fans witnessed a paradigm shift. Celebrity divorces weren't just private dramas, they were public story wars. For every tabloid scoop, there was a ripple effect on streaming metrics, concert ticket sales, and brand endorsements. Netflix documentaries on the split were greenlit overnight, and several talk show hosts pivoted live segments to decode the latest audio leak. Influencers weighed in with reaction videos, turning playback commentary into a cottage industry. Podcast interviews with entertainment lawyers soared in downloads, as everyday viewers sought to understand the shadowy world where law, media, and personal lives intersect. Ultimately, Nicole emerged from this arena not only as a dazzling actress, but as a savvy gatekeeper of her own truth. Her court victories included clauses granting her approval over any third-party narrative releases and establishing penalties for covert spin operations. She leveraged these triumphs into a wider discussion on the ethics of celebrity publicity, partnering with media watchdog organizations and championing transparency initiatives. The narrative coup, turning an attempted gag into a platform for truth, resonated deeply with audiences weary of manufactured tales. Beyond revealing a secret recording, this expose redefined narrative control in high-profile splits, showing that behind every headline lies a battalion of spin experts. It proved the most enduring voice isn't the one seen on camera, but the one brave enough to expose the script. In celebrity divorces, truth may bend, but never break under exposure. In the quiet aftermath of courtroom battles and media blitzes, the tear-stained headlines give way to something more enduring: the human cost of living a life under constant scrutiny. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban navigated each explosive revelation with a blend of strategic courage and private anguish, reminding us that fame can magnify every fissure in a relationship. Behind the leaked text messages, the prenuptial ambushes, and the covert PR playbooks lay two individuals grappling with love, loss, and ambition. For Nicole, exposing financial snares and parental power plays was an act of reclamation, staking her claim not only to her assets, but to her voice. For Keith, the public unraveling challenged him to reconcile his relentless touring schedule with the needs of a family he once vowed to protect. Their story shows that in the glare of the limelight, truth can feel both dangerous and indispensable. When the dust settled, Nicole emerged not just as a celebrated actress, but as a beacon for transparency. She transformed courtroom revelations into a platform advocating for fairness in high-stakes divorces, partnering with legal aid foundations to simplify complex prenups and counseling services to support co-parenting under public pressure. Her willingness to unseal private documents and to speak openly about the emotional fallout sparked a global conversation about the ethics of celebrity privacy. Fans found themselves rallying behind her not merely as spectators of a scandal, but as participants in a larger dialogue about integrity, autonomy, and the right to shape one's own narrative. Nicole's journey underscores that courage lies not in perfection, but in the resolve to expose one's wounds in the service of greater understanding. Meanwhile, Keith faced the challenge of redefining success beyond platinum records and sold-out arenas. Confronted with revelations about emotional distance and clandestine liaisons, he embarked on a period of introspection that extended into his music. His next album carried lyrics tinged with humility and regret, exploring themes of absence, accountability, and the longing for redemption. In interviews, he spoke candidly about the mistakes that drove him away from home, acknowledging how the tour bus can become a gilded cage that isolates even the most devoted parent. While some fans bristled at the confessions, others embraced his vulnerability as evidence of genuine growth. His path forward illustrates how public reckoning can catalyze personal transformation, a testament to the idea that even in divorce, one can seek forgiveness and rebuild trust. As audiences, we bear witness to more than a celebrity breakup. We experience a masterclass in narrative warfare and the fragile interplay between private truth and public persona. The Kidman urban divorce teaches that a prenup is more than paper. It's a battlefield of trust. That a custody dispute isn't merely legal wrangling, but a declaration of values about parenthood and presence. That behind every polished press statement lurk whispers of raw emotion waiting to be unleashed. And when those whispers become roars, through leaked audio or social media leaks, they force us to confront our own fascination with other people's lives. We are complicit in the spectacle, but we can also demand accountability, compassion, and honesty from those we choose to follow. In the larger cultural arc, this saga reshaped how the world views high-profile splits. Tabloids learned that manufactured morsels of gossip can backfire when met with unfiltered facts. Legal teams recognized that punishing non-disclosure clauses risked more backlash than transparency. Fans discovered the value of skepticism, questioning convenient narratives and seeking corroborating evidence. Media watch organizations updated ethical guidelines to resist illicit leaks while preserving the public's right to know. Through this metamorphosis, Nicole and Keith unwittingly became architects of a new paradigm, one where celebrity divorces are treated less like melodramas and more like case studies in organizational behavior, emotional intelligence, and the human yearning for authenticity. Now, as each moves forward, Nicole embracing new film roles and philanthropic ventures, Keith embarking on tours tempered by family commitments. The lessons endure. They remind us that even the brightest spotlights cast long shadows. That love's legacy can survive heartbreak if it is honored with honesty. That no contract clause or spin tactic can fully contain the human heart. And finally, that the power to name one's own narrative belongs not to press agents or headline writers, but to the individuals brave enough to step into the fray and declare their truth. In honoring this journey, we honor our own capacity for resilience and transparency in the face of life's most public trials. If you followed every twist, from the initial deposition bombshells to the final spin control revelations, take a moment to reflect on the real story behind the scandal. Two people learning that vulnerability can outweigh victory and that, sometimes, the greatest triumph is the courage to let the world see your genuine self. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the untold stories that reveal the truths hiding behind the glamour.